The manner of instruction, as I said before, this is an online course. We'll be utilizing GSU's e-learning system. There will be lecture notes available for each reading assignment. The quizzes or exams, I call them exams and for the class, but for some reason I had this listed as quizzes here. Let me just make that a change. Those are available online as well. There are reading assignments, so you're expected to do your reading assignment for the class. There will be videos, some that I've created, some many that others have created. I mean, in the first module we talk about Michael Porter's models on strategy and competitive advantage, which you may have discussed in other classes, or Davini's hypercompetition model. So they're videos with the actual people, so Davini and Michael Porter. So I felt like the interviews with those people are better than me talking about them. So I've included some of those things scattered throughout the course. So I encourage you to take time to listen to them. They're at varying lengths of time. Some are 5 minutes, some are an hour long. So that might help in determining whether or not you'll sit down and watch one. And most are actually hosted through YouTube or um, some other service. So they're actually I linked to them in Blackboard, but they're actually located outside of Blackboard. We have a typical grading scale for the course where 90% and above it would result in an A, 80 up to 90 is a B. That includes 89.4. If that's what your final grade ends up being, that would still be a B, and etc. So you can take a look at that. The grade components. I have three general categories. So there are three exams, and I'll discuss each of them in a second. And then that's worth 30% of your entire grade. So each exam is 10%. So if there are three exams, each exam would be 10% of your overall grade, or around that. Assignments and final project. So there are assignments tied to each of your modules, but there are two major um, assignments. One, like I said before, was tied to the MDCM case study on IT strategy and synchronization, and the other one is the IT briefing, so technology briefing. And I hope you find that one interesting and fun, and it should be a learning experience where you're learning about um, a new technology or something that you're not very familiar with. The exams will be open book, but you're expected. That doesn't mean that they're going to be easy. The exam questions are fairly difficult, so um, make sure that you've completed your reading assignments and discussion questions. The exams will be open book but timed, and you'll get more information about the specifics of the exams in the near future. I will have some practice quizzes that will be available but optional as well. Assignments and final projects. I already talked about the technology briefing and the um, MDCM case study, so the strategy. We're talking about alignment of IT and business strategy. There are those other assignments. There's one assignment that involves a group wiki, so you're working within your group to identify different industries and looking at at information resources. As one example. Discussion posting. So each of the weeks, or actually each of the modules, you'll have a discussion topic via the discussion board. Here are the requirements for the discussion board. So for the first week, for example, for module 1, so you're expected to have your initial response. So there will be a question, or maybe two or three questions. You're expected to post your response to that question on the discussion board by the Thursday of whatever that topic week is. So you post your response, your first response at that point. Then you will then respond, have at least 3 substantive responses to other students' posts, and those will be due by Sunday. Um, after the Thursday that you've made your first post. So that's sort of a typical. We want to make sure that if you are required to post 4 times in responses, if everybody procrastinates and waits till the deadline, then that can cause a problem. So that's why your first post has to be posted by Thursday of the week that it's due. Most things are actually due, other than this is fairly unique. Most things are actually due on Sundays at midnight. So that's a typical, because our class actually begins on a Monday. So most things are due on a Sunday at midnight. This is really the one area that's different. So it will be the first post will be due on a Thursday. But I do have a discussion grading rubric. It's available here if you click on this link. That will show you what the grading rubric for discussion, excuse me, for each discussion assignment tells you the same things. So you're typically it's worth up to 4 points, but you can actually get a bonus point if you exceed expectations. So it's not a lot, but you can, depending on how much you add to the discussion, you can actually get a bonus point if you like this. So that's the 5. So it's out of 4 points, each of the discussions. So moving on to class policies and expectations, please note that makeup quizzes or assignments will not be given unless prior arrangement with the instructor. So if you miss an exam date and we haven't discussed it ahead of time, and you don't have, this will be by exception because it's very difficult to, especially for an online course, to create multiple versions and timelines for students. So please stick to exams, exam due dates and assignment due dates. Mark them in your calendar. Make notes of them wherever necessary. And next we have some other things that I've listed. Always provide references if you get material from a specific website, etc. I suggest using APA style. I have a link to the APA, or to a resource for APA. I think the most important thing is to be consistent in the way you cite your resources, but definitely give credit when you're using resources from another location. And there is the GSU Writing Center that will provide some support, even online support, to help with writing. You're expected to have assignments that are free of grammatical, syntax errors. Failure to complete assignments can hurt you in the course. One of the first things that you have to do is complete the introduction, in agreement that you've read the syllabus and you understand the expectations. Until you agree to that, you won't have module 1 and 2 available to you. So make sure you complete that introduction as soon as possible in the course modules. Late assignments will not be accepted. You're expected to complete the reading assignments. You're expected to, and I will follow grading rubrics, and you should follow grading rubrics when provided because that's what I will refer to. That's meant to help make things as clear as possible. A grade of incomplete will not be given unless something pretty remarkable happens. In my 5.5 years at GSU, I think I've given 1 incomplete to a student. Even I have lots of students ask about this. So don't go into it the course expecting to get an incomplete. I do, if there are circumstances that come up, someone has a baby, someone is in a major car accident. So there are things that happen, and I'm always willing to work with students, but it has to be something fairly significant, and you can't use missing deadlines and completing or performing poorly on an assignment as an excuse for an incomplete syllabus statement for persons with disabilities. If you have a disability that warrants my awareness of it, and it needs some additional time for assignments, for other things, and there are other. Uh, if you have questions about that you're not sure, please contact the coordinator of Access Services for Students with Disabilities. You can do it in person. It's room B1201, or you can email or call given the numbers here. Let's move on to the. I'm going to go back to the course site. So we just reviewed the syllabus. Let's move on to the calendar and checklist. The calendar and checklist, this is a one-page document that will give you, I actually have the wrong link here. The calendar and checklist, actually, let me show you the correct one. I'll have to correct that in just a second. So the calendar and checklist, so this is what your course calendar and checklist will look like. You have, this is a 5-week accelerated course. You have assignments that are due different times. The first 2 weeks are going to be a little bit different because we have, I realize it is a 5-week course. It takes some time to get started. You should have your textbooks available, but the first week I expect you to do the introduction as soon as possible, and that just is part of that's the orientation and some of the things that you're probably doing right now. Then a complete module 1 and 2 as part of within those first 2 weeks. So most of those assignments are due by June 30th, as you can see, but there are assignments due at the end of week 1, so on Sunday, June 23rd. And that includes your introduction discussion post and your module 1 discussion post. And even though it says that's the Sunday due date, remember the discussion assignments, that's the final point at which they're graded. So all the discussion assignments, whatever the due date is, remember the Thursday before, you have to have your first post by the Thursday before whatever this due date is. So keep that in mind as you're looking through this. But this might be good to print off or to make sure you save and have bookmarked. Also note that anytime, let's say there's something that changes, and I won't change the calendar to your detriment, but there are some times that things happen and we change, we either move something back or have to remove an assignment or something for some reason. I'm hoping that doesn't happen this time, but I do have an updated date. So this was last updated May 31st. So at the bottom you'll see that last updated date, so you can see if you have the most recent version of the course calendar and checklist, because this is tentative. This is subject to change. I'm hoping it won't, but just keep that in mind. And I'll post an announcement anytime something changes or we have to make extend something. I will definitely let you know. So that's the course calendar and checklist. So both of those will be available under the course and instructor information link in the course site.